Hello, everybody. The wild hair man of Sweet Home. I gotta get this haircut. Well, hope it's soon. This could be a real short one to do it. Believe it or not, it was super tight before, and then it's gone up. So, let's see. I'm trying to think of a topic today. Would be a good one. Stars. Um, there's a configuration right now. I guess I say configuration. Anyway, of stars this year, right now. Um, not rare, but fairly rare. Let's see. Bring my phone up. I want to show you something on it. Darn codes drive you batty. 25. I don't know why my screen has to be locked right at the enter code to get to my phone. Anyway, they got a program called Sky Map, done by Google, and it helps you find things like this because most of us aren't experts on stars and configurations and constellations and stuff. But this one's kind of cool because it is Neptune and Saturn and Jupiter are all in the night sky right now, along with the usual Mars and Venus. So that's 5 out of, I guess, 8 planets, because they don't consider Pluto a planet anymore. There was 8 planets in our solar system. That's 5 of them. And we're on one of them, so 6. We're only missing 2, which would be Uranus and... who else would we be missing? Jupiter, I believe. So, anyway, it's kind of a neat thing. I mean, they're bright, so once you know where you're at, there is a spot. I guess if you had a telescope, you might be able to see some kind of more interesting things too. Just right now, they're just in the right spot to all kind of be up there. You know, it's kind of cool. I mean, I remember when I was a security guard and had a configuration kind of like that in the sky. But they were lining up in a line. And I can remember I was guarding a post in Harrisburg, the motorhomes. And in between, what happened was that one company had gone bankrupt and it sold the company to another company that makes motorhomes. And in between, there was nobody there, but all the equipment was sitting there waiting for the next person to come step in to go to work. So they sold them everything. So we were guarded so people don't walk off with the tools. Anyway, so I stepped out the guard shack one time and looked up, and there they are. It's still dark out, just barely dawn, just starting to lighten up a little bit. But I could see the stars in the line. I'll never forget that. That was so cool. Because I was there all night. You know, I showed up like at 8 o'clock and got off at like 6 o'clock. You know. And then somebody else would come in and do it from there. But, or it might have been 8 to 8, it might have been 8 to 8, 2 shifts that way. But anyway, I remember that. So it's kind of neat. I mean, some children would love to, you know, step out and show your children this. And this program, you can get it on your phone. It's called Sky Map. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you see how it moves. Well, as you move, it moves. So, like, there's a planet right there, a big one. Let's see what we're looking at. We're looking at the lineup, basically where I had you guys at on there. Okay, you go like that, and oh, wow. Can't see them right now, but boy, there are a pile of them by the sun right now. There's Pluto, Venus, Mars, and Mercury are all right there by the sun, and the moon are all piled up by the sun. Of course, you can't see it because the sun blocks them out, but that's kind of cool. You know, you go like this, like, okay, here's the configuration right now. They're right on the horizon. Saturn and Neptune, right next to each other, at least in the sky. You know, but it's cool. You can look below the horizon, like we're below the horizon, like it's down in Australia and down there. They can see Uranus right now, and you can turn around and you can look at other constellations, you know, as they go by. But anyway, it's a really neat program called Sky Maps by Google. free. It works pretty good. I know it's a little off. Like if something's right there, it'll be right there on the map. So you got to kind of adjust to it. But if you use like the moon as a spot where you know you're at, you can see the moon, see where it's on your phone, and work away with that way. You can look, around. Use the moon to orientate where you are. You learn constellations that way with this map. Maybe I want to call this one Sky Map, because they basically talk about sky maps, really. But I mean, like right now, you could look at right by the sun is the constellation Capricornus. I think I say that right. And you go up higher, you can look at Aquilia with the planet, the star system Altair of Star Trek fame. They used to go to Altair in Star Trek. They already mentioned it at least. Pegasus, Pisces, Andromeda, Cassiopeia. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's a neat program. I'd recommend it. I've used it over the years. I used it back there when I was a guard. That was, gosh, almost a decade ago. I wonder if that company's still there, or they changed hands again. I almost got that post permanently. They liked me there. I liked me everywhere I worked because I was a good guard. I did my job, and they knew I did a good job, and they wanted me, but my company said no, so I didn't get it. That happened several times. Within the company, they wanted me, not the company wanted me, but different. We call them posts where where you're guarding from, and on some posts there's just one guard who shows up, does his job, goes home. There's other jobs where you show up and there'll be a whole bunch of different guards, maybe in the same shift. I mean, when I first started, I guarded, I think I can say this, Lowe's, Building Supplies. They had a warehouse over here. They call them a distribution center. And there was 3 of us at each shift. And because it was that big, we had one guard who's stationed where the trucks came in, one guard stationed where people could come in visitors entrance, and one guard who was roving, moving around the place all night long. Which is my favorite place. I like to rove. I like to walk and rove around. But and that post had an actual guard who's also in charge of all the other guards. So we had posts like that. Big posts, a big place, like a big mill. Like we do a mill over in Springfield, Oregon, that has a set person plus about 3 or 4 guards that walk around. That's another post that wanted me, but I couldn't get it kept. They liked the fact that I roved around on stuff, and they kept moving me around because, most guards didn't want to walk. They wanted to sit behind a desk and do nothing all night long, which I guess I could do now. But I like to move around. I like to guard because I was a long distance runner. So being a long distance runner, walking a couple miles is nothing to me. Me, like a light stroll, where everybody else is like, I did settle down into guarding, of all things, Fred Meyer's stores, their parking lots. And all they wanted us to do is walk. We weren't supposed to engage anybody, try to stop anybody. We were just basically supposed to walk. They had done a survey that showed that somebody walking in a uniform cut the crime down by half. And to them, that was worth it. They just wanted us to walk around, be very visible so that the crooks would see us. And they liked that. I did good at that job, at that post. I actually, again, another post where they wanted me, the guy in charge of security inside the store had been transferred to another site, and he wanted me to go with him. He liked me that much. He did not want to have me, lose me as a guard. But again, they wouldn't let me go. But Me and him got along really well. He actually had me come into his office and wanted me just to sit for a half hour. He said, "Take a break." He did that all the time. And we'd chat and we'd look at the cameras and, you know, because he knew I'd been walking for the last 4 or 5 hours and he wanted me to rest for a little bit. He provided me with big umbrellas when it was raining outside to keep me dry, you know, and all sorts of really nice things because he liked me as a guard and he knew I was doing my job. We had this one thing we did was I couldn't stop anybody. I couldn't accuse anybody of being a thief. None of those things were not allowed. In fact, if I even saw a criminal, I had to be friendly. So I'd say, "How are you today?" You know, I know he's stealing. I couldn't do anything. It wasn't part of my job description. But we found ways around that. That store only had 2 entrances. Can't say that word today. And so if somebody was going to steal something and get away with it, they had to go through one of those 2 doorways. I can't stop anybody. But they didn't know that. So he'd say, "I got somebody I want to catch. I got him on tape. You know, I got a whole bunch of camera recorded stuff onto discs, CDs that you can take to a courtroom and show a judge. I got a whole bunch of them now. So I want to arrest him. I know you can't do anything to him, but would you be kind, stand by the doorway? This doorway. I'll go to the other doorway." And we did this several times, and all I did is stand there. I wouldn't do anything, I'd say anything, I didn't get anybody's way, I was just standing there. And it never failed. Here comes this real nervous-looking person, you know, looking for a way out, sees me and goes, "Nope, not that doorway," and heads over to the other doorway. Well, they're in plain clothes, so you don't know they're security guards until the last moment. And sure enough, he nabbed him. Because I was right there to stop him. You know? Not stop him, but make him think to the other doorway. Yeah, it's a trick we use several times. Sometimes they had me just walk the store behind the person. Just close enough that they could see there's a guard walking around out there. And then they get nervous and they go back out. You know? There are ways around it without actually breaking the rules. I mean, I'm sure my boss wouldn't be too happy if he see me doing it. But there was ways around it. We use it quite often. So, I like being a guard. That would be my job of jobs. You know, I've done a lot of jobs. Sheesh. I started working when I was 13. Paper route. And I delivered papers and then did that for a year and then I stopped and I went back to work again at 15 at a restaurant and then I stopped that after about a year, 9 months. And when I was 19, turning 19, I got married, and I got another job at a restaurant. And then from then on, I worked constantly. I never stopped working. So, you know, that's, oh gosh, at least almost 45 years of my life was involved in different jobs, different kinds. So, I'll have some stories to tell about guards, different jobs I've had. Some are funny, some are not. But, you know, that's how life is. Some things are funny, some things are not. So, alright, this is, I got it written down so I won't forget. This is 61 Years of Wisdom, number 7. Number 6, I was trying out some things, so you might be a little hard to find it, but if you look around, I'm sure you can find it. But I'm going to stay with this format. It seems to work the best for me. Don't know if it's going to ever do what I ultimately like to do, which is make a little bit of money on the side, but if that's somebody's life, that's important. You know, nothing else. So, remember, pay it forward. If you can help somebody do so, it'll come back to you. I believe that firmly. And I hope everybody's having a nice day and having a good day. Today's a Sunday here. So I hope you have a nice Sunday on June 18th. And have a good one.